Hey everyone, it's Anand from UntitledChapter.com, and my guest for today is none other than Alan Thrall from Untamed Strength. Now, Alan Thrall was one of my first inspirations for starting my own YouTube channel, and I believe that he has some of the most epic content when it comes to strength training on YouTube. I had the great pleasure of actually meeting Alan a couple weeks back when he competed in the Boss of Norcal powerlifting meet. And after talking to him in person and also doing this interview, I can definitely say without a doubt that he's one of the most genuine people that you'll ever meet. I really want to go ahead and thank Alan for giving me this opportunity to do this interview. This was an amazing learning experience for me. I got to learn a lot from Alan, and I'm pretty sure that you will also really benefit from what Alan has to share in this interview. What's up, everybody? My name is Anand from Underdog Strength, and today I have a very special guest for you. I have the one and only Alan Thrall from Underdog Strength, from Untamed Strength. Sorry. Hey, Alan, how's it going?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm doing good.
That's good.
So thank you for taking the time today for this interview.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it was great meeting you. It's been like 10 days or almost 2 weeks now.
Yep.
So I wanted to congratulate you on your performance at the meet. Did you set like meet PRs?
Yeah, it was actually meet PRs for each of the lifts. So that was great, and it was the first time that I ever have gone 9 for 9 and not missed any lifts.
Oh, nice.
So I was very happy about that.
Nice. So I was actually gonna compete in that meet too because I train at Boss Barbell, but I got injured, so I couldn't compete.
Yeah, there'll be another one soon. So
yeah,
all over the place.
There's gonna be another one in November, so I'll probably do that one.
Cool.
And then I also really liked how your entire team was there, and I think all of you guys did really well.
Yeah, that was actually really special to see. I was really happy with it because it was the first time that I ever had a large group going to the same meet. There's a lot of strongman competitors and powerlifters at Untamed Strength, but we're always at different meets. So to get everyone on the same page and go together was really cool. It was really fun to watch them and feed off of their success or their passion, whether they were getting fired up for a lift. It was cool. It was fun to watch.
Nice. So, for maybe there's like one or two people who may not know who you are. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Alan Thrall. I own a gym in Sacramento, California called Untamed Strength, and I have experience competing in powerlifting, strongman, and I've done an Olympic weightlifting meet before. I also have a YouTube channel, which is where a lot of popularity comes from, and it's helped a lot with the gym. I've owned Untamed Strength for almost 4 years now, and before that, I was in the Marine Corps. That's that.
So, in my experience, a lot of the people who get into lifting, they usually have faced some sort of like adversity, or they've been like the underdog in life. That's one of the reasons for my channel name, Underdog Strength. So for me personally, like I was like really obese growing up, and since then, since I started lifting, I lost like over 125 pounds, and things like that. So I found that by lifting I could get better, even though I was the underdog before. So do you have some sort of story like that for yourself?
Yeah, somewhat. I've kind of been asked this question before and worded a little bit differently. So I don't think at the time I realized it, but looking back on it, I kind of understand why I started lifting now. But I started lifting in middle school, and it was for the high school football coach came to the middle school, talked to us on a lunch break, and said, "Hey, if you guys want to play football, you need to start lifting weights." So he opened up the high school weight room for the incoming freshmen, the 8th graders. to come lift. And I think from a young age, I really wanted to impress people, whether it was my parents or this high school football coach. I really bought into what he was telling us, and I really, really wanted to impress him. And so I pushed myself really hard in the weight room, not necessarily because I wanted to be bigger than other people or I wanted to be stronger. I just really wanted to impress him through really, really hard work. And I think that might have something to do with the fact that I was a middle child. I have 4 brothers, 2 older brothers and 2 younger brothers. And my 2 older brothers, when I was younger, were getting into a lot of trouble. And so all the attention was on them because they were always in trouble. And so after watching them get in so much trouble, I kind of thought to myself, I don't want to do what they're doing. So I'm gonna do something good. I'm gonna play sports. I'm gonna get good grades, and I'm gonna kind of show off to my parents. As not really understanding it, but more as like a, hey, look at me. I'm doing a good job here. And so I think that kind of motivated me when I was going into high school to really do well in school and in football. And so I was almost in love with lifting weights just as much as I was in love with playing football. So yeah, it wasn't for any reason that that most people get into the gym. Like I wanted to put on some muscle, or I wanted to impress girls or something like that. I just really wanted to do well in football. So that was kind of how I started.
So when you were just getting started, what were some of the early training programs like?
Yeah, thankfully they were actually pretty good training programs. Again, I had no idea, no concept of like form or technique other than what the football coach told us, which was good enough, for a 13-year-old. But I didn't know the difference between a high bar squat and a low bar squat and anything like that. But anyways, the reason he was a good football coach is because he understood the importance of the basics. We would squat. We would clean. We didn't really do any deadlifts. We would bench press, and we would do overhead press, usually with our legs, like a push press. We would do a lot of sprints, hill sprints, and then lots of push-ups. And that was really all we did, and a lot of dips and a lot of pull-ups. So, just doing those things helps a lot, especially when you're 13, 14 years old. So that's all we ever did. And we would, I had no concept of programming or overtraining or anything like that. I just wanted more. So we were squatting, front squatting 3 times a week. We were cleaning, every other day. We were doing some sort of upper body movement 4 times a week. So there was a lot of frequency and emphasis on the main lifts, which is great. So that's kind of how it all started, and it was a good program, I guess you could say. So there wasn't really too much in terms of, I guess, progression, but the emphasis on the main lifts and on pushing yourself really hard was there. So it was good.
And then how did you actually start learning about things like programming or training specifically for an event, things like that?
So it was while I was in the military, I was on a duty where I was a guard, essentially. So I was standing post for 12 hours on night shift. And luckily I was with someone else. So it was 2 of us. We were on post. And the guy's name was Josh Clark. And as we're standing post together, I told him that I like lifting weights. And, he liked lifting weights also. So that was and we immediately clicked and started talking about lifting weights. And he said, hey, I'll see you tomorrow night for our next shift. And I'm going to bring some stuff. And he actually brought Starting Strength, the book. And then he told me about some programming. And he understood what programming meant. And so I started learning from him, pretty much. And it was the first time ever after talking to Josh that I learned about emphasis on the main lifts. Because before that, after high school, when I was lifting on my own, I was a typical, today I'm going to go train my chest and my shoulders, and then I'm going to do a leg workout and maybe a back workout, an arm workout. So I was focusing on muscle groups. And he was like, stop all that. You need to start focusing on movements. So start focusing on the squat, the deadlift, the press. If you can increase those, you'll build muscle and you'll get stronger. You don't have to isolate anything. Just focus on those main movements. And he kind of told me, like, it seems very obvious, but a lot of people don't understand it at first. But you are here. Let's get you here. Let's figure out how to do that. So it was the first time I learned about progression, because before that and after high school, I was just doing workouts out of like muscle magazines, 5 sets of 10 of this and 4 sets of 8 of that. And there was no progression. You know what I mean? So that's where I learned it, was from Josh. And I started lifting with him and kind of fell in love with lifting all over again. So it's really exciting to have a plan. And I think that goes a long way for most people who are just bouncing around in the gym. If you actually have a plan to follow, once you start following that plan, and then once you have some success with that plan, it's addicting, and you just want more, and you keep going back. So,
Right. And then, how did you actually start with Untamed Strength? What was your vision going in?
So, I went into the military a little bit lost. I was going to college, just a community college before, and I just didn't know what I wanted to do. And it was to the point where I was like, I'm tired of just floating around. I want to do something, but I don't know what. I don't want to keep spending money on school if I don't know what I'm going to do. My older brother was a Marine, so that was always in the back of my mind. And so I just decided, I said, you know what? I think my best option here is just to go join the military and put my life in someone else's hands for 4 years and just be told what to do. Because that is easier for some people to be told what to do. If I'm told what to do, I'll do it to the best of my ability. But when the ball's in my court and I have to decide what to do, I was just a little bit, I didn't know where to go. So I decided to join the military. And after a couple of years in the military, I started to learn a lot about myself, and I realized that I hated being told what to do, and I hated being micromanaged every aspect of my life. And so I'm not going to go on a huge rant about that, but I realized that, okay, my time's about to come when it's time to make a decision to get out of the military or re-enlist. And I knew I was going to get out of the military. And I was watching YouTube on my free time, and I was watching some guys that had their own gym. I don't know if you're familiar. I'm sure you're familiar with Elliot Holtz.
Oh, yeah.
I would watch him with his gym, Strength Camp. There's another guy who still makes YouTube videos, Chandler Marchman, who had his own training facility, warehouse gym. I would watch Zach Evanesh. He had his own facilities, and they built those from the ground up. And I really, really like that. And so for a while, I just thought, like, man, they're so lucky. I wish I could do that. And then eventually I just realized I can do that if I really want to. So anyways, that kind of spurred in me to open my own facility when I get out. And that was that. And then when I got out a few months later, I was buying equipment and I was leasing a facility, and just hit the ground running from there. So that's pretty much what started it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then you coach people, right?
Yeah.
And do you also do like personal training for non-athletes?
So I do. So the gym, Untamed Strength, is a 24-hour access facility. So everyone in the gym has their own key fob that allows them to get in and out. So, of all the members, they all just come and use the gym as they please. I don't work with them. But I do have personal training clients that I work with, and almost all of the personal training clients that I work with are not athletes. They're just, I guess, average people who just want to get stronger. Whether they're 50, 60, I've worked with 70-year-olds, 40-year-olds, men, women, moms, dads, who just want to get a little bit stronger, or they've had bad experience. I went to a CrossFit gym. I didn't get any attention. I just did not like it. I've seen the YouTube videos. I'd like some help. Or someone who did hire a personal trainer in a commercial gym and just decided this is not for me. I don't like this experience. I'd like someone else. And YouTube definitely helps with marketing. So people come to me that are not athletes. I do train some athletes, but they're usually high school athletes. So my training doesn't really differ from person to person. It's a strength-based gym. Everyone in there is squatting, deadlifting, pressing, and benching. Everyone's at different levels, but we're all doing the same thing. Some people who maybe want a little bit more excitement or a little bit more variation than just bench, squat, deadlift every day, we might do a little bit of strongman stuff after. For some of my overweight clients, we'll do a little bit of conditioning in the form of strongman or pushing and pulling a sled. But yeah, believe it or not, I don't train many athletes. They're all just, I guess, average people who want to get stronger.
Right. And I'm assuming that the people that come to you for like personal training, they're not your, even though they might not be athletes, they might have like an athlete mentality, because they're trying to seek something that they won't find in like commercial gyms, let's say.
Yeah, absolutely. They want to be pushed and they want to be challenged. And it's great about barbell training is, you always want to get better and you always want to learn. You can get better, stronger, and learn for a very long time. Something like a machine, you can master a machine in a day, and it's just not very satisfying anymore. It's just punching in the clock. And what's great about Untamed Strength is the community. So everyone in there, everyone in there is focused on getting stronger and getting better. So whether you're bench pressing 100 pounds or 400 pounds, everyone knows, the feeling you get when you're making progress, when you're getting better, when you're getting stronger. And so everyone in the gym is really, really supportive. So that is kind of like a team atmosphere in a way. But yeah, everyone in there, it takes a certain type of person to want to train in a warehouse in Sacramento in the middle of the summer when it's 100 degrees with no air conditioning. So yeah, they do have to be a bit of an athlete, whether they think so or not.
And then what have you learned by coaching others? Because you're an athlete yourself, and then when you actually go to coach others, like what differences do you find, or what have you learned by coaching other people?
Yeah, I've learned a lot. When I first opened up the gym, I knew enough for me. I knew what made sense in my head. And I kind of just assumed that stuff was common knowledge. And it wasn't until I started working with people that they didn't understand a lot of the stuff that I thought, again, was common knowledge. What's a deadlift? Why am I doing this deadlift? What is this working? And, at first I'm kind of thinking like, what do you mean what's a deadlift? So I learned that there are a lot of people out there who really need help. But with that, recently, I've learned a lot about coaching in terms of programming for different individuals. Not everyone deserves or needs the cookie cutter program. So just being able to assess everyone, each and every person based off their needs or based off their starting point is very important. And it just takes repetition and working with a lot of people to understand that. I actually I'm in the process of trying to get my starting strength coaching credential. And this past weekend, I was in Texas at Wichita Falls Athletic Club doing a seminar, and I learned quite a bit about coaching. And having coached for years, you think you know a lot, but it's not until you go to one of these seminars that you realize I have a lot more to learn. But one of the things that they taught, and one of the things that I personally needed to work on because I was evaluated, was to be a bit more clear and concise with my coaching, and not use a bunch of filler, not be too wordy. So they talk a lot about how to teach someone from the ground up, right? Because someone who comes in your gym might already have a 300-pound squat. Someone might have never squatted before, and you treat every person the same. You tell them, this is the blueprint for how we're going to teach and learn the lifts. And then from there, certain cues that lifters respond better to and things like that. But anyways, I'm not going to go too far into that. But I learned a lot about coaching and what I need to work on, which was very helpful.
Right. And then being an athlete, you also have a coach yourself, right?
Yeah, he's a starting strength coach, powerlifter. His name's Austin Baraki.
Right.
It's all done online through Starting Strength online coaching. I'm fortunate enough to have met him a handful of times, and we'll Skype. If I have a question or if he wants to talk to me about something. But yeah, he sends me a workout. I do that workout, and then I record the workout and I send it to him. And then within 24 hours, he responds with coaching cues, as well as how I did this week might change next week going into it. This week might have been way too much. He'll scale it back to next week or something like that. So it's even though it is online, it's very interactive and it's very, very helpful. You don't have that real life or that real time coaching, but it's still it's very helpful to have someone that you can call any time of the day to ask questions.
Right.
I've learned a lot from him. So a lot of my recent videos are influenced by the things that he's teaching me.
Right. And I think, online coaching in many ways is better than in-person coaching because you have access to the world's best coaches, anywhere in the world. Whereas before you were limited to your local trainer or local coach who may or may not be that good.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what started Starting Strength online coaching. There are something like 120 certified starting strength coaches, and so that's not very accessible for the majority of the country. So they open up online coaching so that they could go worldwide. So yeah, it's you're right. It definitely makes them more accessible, and I couldn't have reached out to Austin Baraki for coaching if it wasn't for online coaching. So it is very helpful.
Right. And do you think it's more beneficial to have a coach as a beginner, or do you think it's better to have a coach later on when you're, already pretty advanced and you want to take your results to the next level?
I think both are equally important.
Okay.
But it is, I can't stress the importance of having a coach when you first start out, because you're developing certain patterns and habits that are going to influence, how you're lifting for the rest of your life. So it is important to learn it from the start. But that's not to say that, someone is too advanced to be coached. I think once you have, mastered the lifts, and once you have a complete understanding of programming, then I think you're good to train on your own. That's not as necessary to have a coach as a beginner. But I was at the point where I knew how to get a weak person stronger, but I didn't know how to take an intermediate or late intermediate to the next level. And I was stuck in the gym with my lifts. I couldn't make any progress for a long time. I had to be real with myself and say, if Alan Thrall walked into my gym and asked me for coaching, and he said, "Hey, I want to squat 600 pounds. Can you help me?" I wouldn't know what to do. So that's why I reached out to Austin, because he has that experience. I knew he could help me. So, so to answer your question, I guess it'd be more important for a novice or a beginner to have a good coach. But that's not to say that even if you are an intermediate, late intermediate, that you don't need a coach. I know advanced lifters who have coaches. So it's important for everyone.
Right. So you're actually one of the few people who actually done pretty well in like Olympic lifting, powerlifting, and strongman.
Yeah.
So what are the key differences when training for each one of these three events?
A good question. I've learned a lot about that in the past couple of years, and strongman is a sport and it is a skill. Weightlifting is a sport and it's a skill. I think that powerlifting is the only sport-specific event or competition, meaning the bench, the squat, the deadlift, and I'll throw in the press, even though it's not included, are the best movements for building strength. And those happen to be the movements tested in a powerlifting meet. So you actually get to, in the gym, you get to use those movements to get stronger and to better yourself, but at the same time, you're practicing your skill. So I think it's the most important of the three. With strongman, you have to use those movements to get stronger, but you still have to practice a log press. You still have to practice a stone load or a tire flip because those require some skill. It's the same with the Olympic weightlifting. You need to deadlift, squat, and press, and even bench, I think, in order to get stronger. But you also have to practice the clean as you're going to snatch because those are both skill-dependent movements. So that's what's difficult to balance. And that's where I went wrong and a lot of other people went wrong with those other sports is they emphasize too much. They focus too much on strongman training because they want to be better strongman, right? They focus too much on the snatch and clean and jerk because they want to be good Olympic weightlifters. My problem was, in my personal experience, when I focused way too much on strongman training, I actually got weaker. I got a little bit better at flipping a tire or loading a stone, but my absolute strength did not increase because I wasn't focusing on the squat, the deadlift, and the press as much as I should have been. And Olympic weightlifting was the same. For like 4 months, I just did snatch, clean and jerk, and slight variations. There was the program that I was doing, there was no emphasis, not much emphasis on squatting strength, not much emphasis on deadlifting strength, and not much emphasis on pressing strength. And so, I guess when I started, my strength was here and my skill was here. And after those 4 months, my skill increased, my strength decreased, and I did well at the meet. But looking back on it, once I came back to powerlifting, I was a lot weaker because my strength went down. My skill went up, but my strength went down. So ideally, you'd want your strength to go up and your skill to go up. So anyways, I think that powerlifting, bench, squat, deadlift are most important regardless of your sport because they're going to give you the most bang for your buck, the biggest return on investment in terms of strength. So I hope that answers the question.
Yeah. And then which one of these three did you enjoy the most? So strongman is fun, and I really enjoy it. But I think I got too carried away with it, meaning that I was doing it so much and I was competing so often that it kind of got frustrating when you stop seeing progress. So when I'm doing strongman because it's fun, and then I realize, like, man, I'm getting weaker, and this strongman stuff's not getting any easier. I need to just stop emphasizing strongman so much and start focusing on powerlifting. So strongman, I think, is, if I had to pick of the three, strongman is the funnest to compete in. I really liked Olympic weightlifting, the meet that I competed in, because it's fast. Powerlifting meets can be 8-9 hours. Strongman competition can be the same.
This Olympic lifting meet was 2 hours in and out. So that's, as a competitor, that's really nice to just get in, do your lifting, and get out. So I like that. And because it was new, um, uh, I had a lot of fun doing it. Maybe if I've done, 10, 15 competitions of Olympic weightlifting, I might get a little more tired of it. But with all that said, this past meet at Boss was my favorite competition I've ever had. And a lot of it was because I did well, thanks to Austin, and because I had the whole crew with me. So that was cool.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing about these sports. Even though they're like individual sports, there's a huge like community aspect to them.
Yeah.
And do you find this community aspect like for all three sports, or is it more in like powerlifting or more in strongman?
It's for all three.
All
I've
three.
been, well, yeah, there's a little bit that can be said about that. I wasn't totally immersed in Olympic weightlifting. I just did it for, a half a year. I competed in one meet and I trained on my own the whole time. So I didn't really have other weightlifters that I trained with. I didn't train at a weightlifting gym. I just trained at Untamed Strength. So I didn't really get a part of that community, but I know it exists. I think Strongman is would have the best sense of community because there are a lot of powerlifters. There's a lot of arguments in powerlifting, whether it's federation or knee wraps, no knee wraps, raw, geared, weight classes. Yeah, he did this, but he did the same at this weight, body weight, and I'm back here like, who cares? And sumo and conventional, and oh, look at their bench press arch, and look how wide they are with their grip, and there's just so much of that it's really annoying in powerlifting. But strongman, strongman is funny because at a lot of the meets, these guys are they're all good friends. They all know of each other. Everyone's extremely friendly. They're drinking beer between events. You know what I mean? It's really, really laid back, and so I think the community is a bit better within strongman than it is in powerlifting. But that's just my personal experience.
So if someone is just starting to get into like strength training, they just want to get stronger. Uh, what would be like some of the first things they can do or first steps they can take?
Starting strength linear progression, I think, is the best material out there. Buy the book, contact a coach. If you can't find a coach in your area, go to Starting Strength online coaching. Starting Strength, it's in its name, Starting Strength. It was created for novices. Whether you're trying to learn the lifts for the first time as a 15-year-old or as a 65-year-old, it's a no bullshit approach to strength training. And so everyone who comes in the gym, almost every person I train long term, I get a lot of people who come in just for one-time form checks, and they might be powerlifters who want to better their lifts. But the majority of people I've trained for months are beginners, and I always have them go through linear progression. It's the best way to add weight to the bar as quick as possible for the longest duration of time. And if you understand how to perform the lifts, or if you contact a coach who knows how to coach the lifts, it works 100% of the time. I've seen people who, at a first glance, do not look mobile enough or flexible enough to perform the movements. But with these coaching cues and this blueprint of teaching the methods, it works every single time. At this past seminar that I was at this weekend, there were some guys who were much older, probably 60 in their 60s. And at first glance, I'm sure that a lot of people would say, well, we need to get you to do these mobility drills beforehand so that you can have the mobility to get in the position. But after working with starting strength coaches for 20 minutes, they were able to perform the squat the way it should be. They were able to deadlift the bar off the floor with a neutral spine. They were able to press overhead and hold it overhead, even though their shoulders might have not at a first glance, been mobile enough. So it really comes down to coaching. And I think starting strength is the best blueprint for coaching the lifts. So that's not a sales pitch. I don't make any money from starting strength, but that's what I would suggest.
No, I completely agree. I think starting strength and practical programming for strength training are like must reads for anyone
Yeah,
who's serious about the results.
absolutely.
What kind of nutrition approach do you take for yourself and your athletes?
Nutritional what?
Nutritional approach.
Yeah. So I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not a dietitian, and I tell people that who ask me, can I get some diet advice? And I say, yeah, I'll give you some advice, but I'm not going to charge you for it because it might not be very good. But I understand, and it's only because I was there one time. I understand how to get skinny people, really underweight people, to eat more, to get bigger and stronger. But I would never, and I understand basic nutrition. I understand what macronutrients and micronutrients are, 9 calories per gram of fat and 4 calories for protein and carbs and all that stuff. And I understand, calculating calories, understanding where you're at as a baseline, and on and on and on. And I can help people with that, but that's just simple math. But I do not, I'm not a diet. I don't offer diet consultation or online services, which I get asked a lot, just because it's not my area of expertise. So I'm not going to pretend like I know. But so, if they're really overweight people that I work with, I will ask them, what are you eating on a daily, as a daily routine? And I'll have them track for 3 days what they eat. I'll tell them not to change anything. Just see what you're eating for 3 days, and then I'll take a look at it. And it's pretty simple right then. They usually have bad eating habits. They're usually eating way too many calories. So I'll help them out and tell them, let's adjust this a little bit. Let's get a little bit more protein in your diet. So that's pretty much the extent of my working with clients in nutrition. So that's that. I'll tell really skinny, underweight high school kids that they need to eat way more, and they're like, "Oh, I had beef jerky for lunch," just stuff like that. So I'll tell them, "Look, that's not going to get you bigger and stronger." They all want a 6-pack abs, and they weigh 125 pounds, and I just sit down and talk with them that how it actually works when you gain weight. So, but anyways, I don't offer diet advice or anything like that. Even on my videos, I'll put a disclaimer that says I'm not a dietitian. I don't suggest that everyone eats 8,000 calories a day. You know what I mean? But that's that.
Yeah, do you still eat 10,000 calories a day?
No, I was doing that. I was doing that for probably like 5 or 6 months. And the reason I did it was because I was really set on gaining as much weight as possible. And that was a good way to do it. And that was, I mean, a lot of people will say that it was fake, but it was, I'm being completely honest. I was dead serious. I was eating so much, and I was talking to a lot of people who were coming in the gym who were extremely underweight. And don't get me wrong, I don't think that everyone needs to eat to stuff their face until they're going to puke. And that's not the only way to get stronger. But a lot of people that I work with are extremely underweight and very weak, and they'll go to the gym, and I hate seeing them pushing themselves in the gym really, really hard, but not making as much progress as they could be because they're just sabotaging their all the hard work they're putting in the gym by not eating. So I'll tell them, look, you need to eat more. You should eat these things. What are you eating right now? Let's figure out how we can get some more calories in your diet. And they'll say, oh, I'm eating a lot, but it's just so hard, And I'm like, you're not eating a lot. I'll show you what a lot is. And so I calculated one day. I sat down and calculated how many calories I was eating because I would eat pretty much the same thing every day. And I was at 9,500. And I was like, gosh dang, I'm right there at 10,000. And so I was like, I'll make a video about it. I'll title it 10,000 calorie a day diet. And I threw in like an extra scoop of ice cream or something like that to make it 10,000, But and I don't people like will say things like that's extremely unhealthy. You're promoting obesity or diabetes or heart disease or high cholesterol, and that's not something that I think people need to do for the rest of their lives. Doing something for 4, 5, 6 months, right, to get a kid from 120 pounds to 165 pounds. And I say those numbers because I've seen it. Kids that come in 120 pounds, they get up to 165, 170 by eating a lot of food for a few months. You're not going to develop heart disease in 4 or 5 months. Anyways, I
And
forget what we were even talking about.
yeah, just your approach to nutrition.
Yeah, yeah.
So when you talk about cardio, especially the strength athletes, they all tend to run away from cardio. What's your approach to cardio? Do you incorporate it in your strength programs or the people you coach?
Yeah, it depends on who I'm working with. Strength takes time to increase or to develop. Conditioning, I think, is easy and it comes quickly. So, if for whatever reason, there's a high school athlete that I'm training, we need to focus on the next 6, 7 months just getting stronger. We won't do any conditioning. And then, once he starts football or basketball, they're usually running all day anyways at practice. So their conditioning will come quickly. So I don't need to focus so much on it. The only time I really use conditioning is just as a way to increase activity with someone who's really overweight. So we'll do, and usually if they're overweight and they're novices, they're completely starting out from scratch. The workouts don't take long, 30 minutes, and they've done 3 sets of 5 squat, 3 sets of 5 press, and a set of 5 deadlift in 20 or 30 minutes. And, so we can spend 15 minutes pushing a prowler or something like that. And so that's the only reason I usually use conditioning. I don't focus on it very much for anyone else. I just think that it's a kind of a play on recovery. Use that energy, save that energy to recover, and hit your next training session fully recovered, than to do a whole bunch of conditioning. I don't think that conditioning should take away from strength training, because I think that strength is more important than your ability to push a prowler for 15 minutes straight. So it's harder. Not, I wouldn't say it's harder, but it's I guess it somewhat is. It's a little bit harder or more difficult to acquire strength than it is to improve your conditioning. And strength training is much easier in the sense that everyone can do strength training right now. Not everyone can do conditioning right now. If I have a 350-pound woman who comes into the gym, what the heck? We're going to do conditioning for 5 minutes and she's going to be smoked. But she can do 3 sets of 5 on the squat, whether it's with a barbell or 65, 75 pounds. She can do a set of 5 deadlifts. She can do starting strength. Anyone can do starting strength. If you can't do it with a barbell, a 45-pound barbell, we have training bars, a 15-pound bar you can use. So anyone can start strength training today, but conditioning not so much. And not to mention conditioning, like running around, doing box jumps, sprinting, jogging. That's really hard on the body for someone who's 350 pounds, or someone who's 75 years old. So that's kind of my view on conditioning. I don't emphasize it very much.
And what are some of the things we can do for injury prevention?
The main lifts: squat, deadlift, and press. Pull-ups. Squat will strengthen your entire lower body, your back, your hips, your knees, if you're squatting correctly. And all of that can be is explained in depth in the Starting Strength book. And deadlift, there's nothing better for your back than to strengthen it using the deadlift. A lot of people avoid the deadlift because they think it's bad for your back, but avoiding the deadlift is worse for your back than deadlifting. And for optimal shoulder health, pressing overhead. If you can't do it right now, you need to figure out how to do it and progress from there. But nothing works better for injury prevention than squatting, deadlifting, and pressing correctly, programming it intelligently. So, I think it's flashy to incorporate all kinds of variations and, band work and all that. I've been guilty of like falling into that trap of believing that too. And it makes for a good YouTube video, like, wow, look at this exercise. Maybe this is why my shoulder hurts. Maybe I need to be doing this movement instead. And it's all just flashy fad stuff that doesn't really actually work.
Yeah, I would agree completely with that. Um, so in terms of your content on YouTube, I think you have some of the most epic content in YouTube fitness, and I mean, I've been following you for a while, and it's consistently gotten better over the years. So what's your content creation process like? Do you how do you like come up with the actual idea for like making a video, and then what goes on behind the scenes?
Yeah, so I think that I've always been, even from a young age, I've always been a bit artistic. And even nowadays, whenever I'm trying to explain something, whether it's in the gym or my plan for whatever outside of the gym, it's always like making sense in my head, and I'm always trying to figure out how to explain it to someone. And sometimes it doesn't come out in words, and so I'm talking about like my weekend to someone, and I'm like, let me draw it out for you, and I'm like drawing on a whiteboard and stuff like that. So I've always been a bit artistic in that sense, and I used to actually like to draw when I was in high school, and before we had like phones to scroll on to take up our free time, I would just, if I didn't have anything to do, I would just draw stuff. And anyways, so I think that I've always been a bit creative in that sense. And when I started making YouTube videos, and 4 years ago, there was a lot less information on YouTube, and 8 years ago there was nothing. There's hardly anything on YouTube. I don't even know YouTube. I don't even remember when YouTube came around, but like maybe 2007 or something, or earlier than that.
Yeah, maybe 2007, 8, something like that.
Yeah. So there was nothing, like what there is now. And so as I was watching some YouTube videos, I would watch, like a how to squat video, and it'd be some guy in a warehouse just talking so slow and like, so we're going to cover the squat. You want to go with like a shoulder width stance. And I'm just watching this, like, I don't care what this guy's talking about. I can't stand listening to this. It's just so boring. The delivery sucks. And so I thought about it, and I was like, what if I made some videos where I actually talked, I had audio and the visual separate. I actually talked into the microphone so that it was clear, you could hear it. And then when I say, I want your stance width here, I actually show your stance width. And so I would have a visual aspect to it, not just me talking in a warehouse. And so I really started to create these videos. And it was a lot of fun to, like, cut and paste and move this around and put an arrow here and a picture here. So I had a lot of fun explaining it. And I think people really also enjoyed it. And so that's kind of what inspired me to start making these videos. But nowadays, what happens is I will usually have an idea based off of because of clients that I work with. You know what I mean? I'm like, you need to do this with your hips when you squat. And then the next day, I'm telling someone else, you need to do this with your hips when you squat. And after a couple of weeks, I'm like, God, why do people, I'm repeating myself over and over, you have to do this with your hips. And so I'm like, there's a lot of people with this problem. Let me make a video about it. And so I will write down, I'll kind of start with bullet points of like the 3 things that I want to explain in the video. And then I'll go to each bullet point and I'll start to list the things. I'll explain that as best I can. So I will actually write a script for the video. And then from there, I'll know what to record. And I will take my computer into the gym and I'll record whatever I'm talking about, and then I'll do a audio version of like explaining the script, and then a visual version of those, and I'll just put it on top, and then put some text in there, and I try to throw a little bit of humor in there. I think that delivery is huge with YouTube. To get people to pay attention for 10 or 15 minutes, it has to be engaging. You have to be wanting to know what's next. You have to be engaged in what they're talking about, and it has to be somewhat visually appealing. I've said to other people that someone can make a video explaining exactly how to make $1 million this month. And if you're talking to the camera, okay, so what I'm going to talk about in this video, people won't listen to it because it's so boring, even if the content is good. So you have to be able to present it. And that's what I really focus on aside from just the content. But yeah, it's always writing a script for it, recording the audio, recording the visual, putting it together. And then I'll write something and I'll record something. And a lot of times I'll say like, this isn't very good. I don't know if I got my point across. I don't know if this is clear. And then once I start to make it, it'll improve, more and more as I go on. And then on top of that, as a last side note, a lot of times I'll see an older video that I've changed my approach to. For example, my how to squat video that was made 3.5 years ago, 3.5 years ago, probably. I want to redo the whole thing. So I'm going to be making a new how to squat video very soon. And so I will see either old videos of myself, or someone will say to me, yeah, I learned this. And I'm like, where the hell did you learn that? And like, oh, it's in your old video. And I'm like, oh God, I got to change that. So that inspires me to continue to make new content, but that's the whole process. And it's a lot of fun to be able to create things, no different than someone who enjoys creating cinematic movies, or telling a story. I kind of get the same joy out of it, making a YouTube video.
And do you edit your videos yourself?
Yeah, everything's for me.
Nice. So
people have asked, when are you going to get a video editor or a media team? And I don't know. Honestly, the only reason I would do that is if someone wanted to follow my training, or maybe if I did like some sort of vlog, or some I've done in the past, like a little day in the life of Alan Thrall. And if people wanted to record that, edit that, that would work. But there's no way that anyone could do for me what I would want, like my standard, to do a instructional video for me. Because if you look at the raw footage, it's like sometimes an hour and a half of clips. And if you were to watch those clips of just me doing something, you would have no idea what I'm trying to show. So I feel like if I had someone to edit my videos, I would have to look over their shoulder the whole time and say, no, this is where this goes. I'm trying to explain this. And so I've actually seen, I've seen in the past YouTubers who have other people edit their videos. So other people record, edit, and publish their videos. And I've watched one of these videos, and the guy editing it didn't understand what the YouTuber was trying to explain. And he actually ended up getting it backwards. And so he was like, when you do this, you should do this and not that. And it was two different clips. And they said, you should do this, showing the wrong thing, not that, showing the correct thing. And I'm watching, I'm like, are you kidding me? Like this editor doesn't even know what the hell he's looking at. You know what I mean? And so I feel like that would happen with my videos. And on top of all that, I enjoy doing it. So I want to do it. It's like an artist, why don't you hire someone else to paint your picture, because I want to do it,
Plus, it's more authentic, right? I think a lot of people like can relate to your videos not just because they're good, but you come off as authentic,
Yeah,
and
well,
I
thank
think
you.
people can sense that.
Yeah, that's what I shoot for. So I'm glad.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, in terms of competition, well, what are you planning on competing next?
I would like to do. There's a powerlifting meet. It's a little different powerlifting meet that goes every spring and fall through a number of gyms throughout the United States through Starting Strength. It's called the Starting Strength Classic. That is the squat, the press, and the deadlift. There's no bench, but it's structured just like a powerlifting meet. You have 3 attempts and all that stuff. So I'll do that in Oakland. Uh, Probably, I think it's in October of this year. So I won't be competing until then. And then there's another USAPL meet that I'll probably do at the very end of December. But in terms of Olympic weightlifting, I don't know if I'll ever do another Olympic weightlifting meet. And Strongman, who knows? Maybe I'll return next year. But right now, I'm really, really focused on just increasing my squat, my deadlift, and my press and my bench. Because I think that, like I said earlier, that has the most carryover to any strength sport. And my coach is a power lifter, so he would be best at getting me better at powerlifting. Not the best at training me for a strongman competition, which I'm sure he could do, or an Olympic weightlifting meet. That's just not his thing. So I don't want to throw a bunch of curveballs at him and frustrate him by saying like, "Hey, I want to train for an Olympic weightlifting meet. Can you help me?" And then when that's over, "Hey, I'd like to do a strongman competition. Can you help me?" It'd just be, he'd just be like, "Yeah, we can't get anything to stick because you're bouncing all over the place." So powerlifting meet later this year.
And then what's next for Untamed Strength?
So like I said earlier, I went this past weekend to the Starting Strength seminar, and I opted in for my coaching credential. So everyone who goes there attends the seminar just as a attendee to learn the lifts, to learn the material, to cover physics and mechanics of the lifts, anatomy, as well as programming. So you learn a lot when you go there. While you're there, you can opt in and say, "I'd like to be evaluated for my coaching credential." And so you are judged or evaluated at the seminar based on your ability to coach on the platform. So you have to coach other lifters. They watch you and they give you a grade. They also watch how you lift to make sure that you understand how to perform the movements. And from there, they give you a pass or fail. And thankfully, I passed the platform evaluation. So now I have to complete the exam, which is an extremely in-depth essay exam that's several dozens and dozens of pages. So if I pass that, I will be a certified starting strength coach. So I'm very, very excited about that. So personally, that's what's happening with me is that that's why I haven't been putting many YouTube videos out. And I probably won't for another week or so, just because I've been so busy with all of that. And so I'm going to be hopefully a starting strength coach soon. And then from there, I think that would open up some opportunities to possibly do some, in the future, do some seminars or workshops. Because there is a large starting strength coaching field, or there are starting strength coaches who are already doing seminars and workshops. I would like to eventually tag along with them and help people out that way. I've never done a seminar or workshop myself, like hosting one. I've had other people come to the gym and do that, but I haven't done it myself. So all the coaching I do is at Untamed Strength. So I think it'd be kind of cool to travel a bit and go, on the East Coast or down south, and actually get to train people while tagging along with the starting strength crew. I don't know how far out that'll be, but I'd really like to do that because, I enjoy training at Untamed Strength, but it's just nice to get away sometimes. And Untamed Strength, the gym will be in its current location for another 3, possibly 5 years, just depending on the lease. So we're going to max out that facility as best we can. There's almost always improvements that can be made in the gym. I want to get 2 more squat racks. I want to get another place to deadlift. I want to get another bench. So constantly improving the gym is something that I really enjoy doing. And members are coming in slowly but surely. The crew is getting bigger and bigger. I'm hosting competitions a few times a year, usually strongman competitions. So I'm just going to continue doing that. And then as far as YouTube, after I get my, hopefully if I get my starting strength credential, I'm going to be making a lot more YouTube videos, helping people, kind of just passing on all this information that I've learned over the past several months. And I've done it a little bit with some of my recent videos. But again, I want to do a completely new how to squat video, how to bench, how to press, talk a little bit about programming, exercise selection that you probably learned from Mike to share, and make a lot of videos on that, just with all the knowledge I've learned so far. And so the YouTube channel has a lot more content built up that I'm excited to put out, but it won't be for a few weeks just because I'm so busy. But that's that. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I think we've been on for like almost an hour now.
Cool.
Yeah, and I could go on for like several more hours, but I'd love to have you on again sometime in the future.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah, but I think let's end this interview here today, and then hopefully we can schedule something in the future.
Okay.
Yeah, and I really look forward to it's really exciting with what you're doing with Untamed Strength and your YouTube channel. I think you're making strength more accessible to a lot more people. Like because I don't think I don't think any other YouTube channel with your kind of content has this kind of reach, and I can't wait to see how far it goes.
Well, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it.
And I want to thank you once again for taking the time today for this interview and giving me this opportunity.
Absolutely, not a problem at all.
Okay, so with that, let's end the interview, and thank you so much again.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.